congratulations, she said, because most first attempts are unwatchable. She said, you did one thing right. She said, you obviously hired a professional screenwriter. That was me, and at that point I got the bug.
Welcome back to this week's episode of Karen's Bookshelf. My name is Karen Osman, best-selling author. Now, as you know, every month we interview somebody about the book that changed their life. And today I'm lucky enough to be joined by Graeme Simsion. Graeme, thanks so much for joining me here today. What is the book that changed your life?
The book is called The Unkindest Cut by Joe Queenan, American film critic. You know, I was late 1990s, I was running a business back in those days. I was just browsing through a bookshop, and here's this book, The Unkindest Cut, and I quick look at the blurb, and it's non-fiction. It's about how Joe set out to make a movie for $7,000. He was trying to emulate Robert Rodriguez, who had famously made the movie El Mariachi in Mexico for $7,000, which he raised by selling his own blood. So Joe said, can you really make a movie for $7,000? I'm going to try. So he went out there, he wrote the script, he cast his friends, he hired the equipment and so forth. He ended up spending about $50,000 rather than $7,000. He almost destroyed his marriage for obvious reasons, spending $50,000 on a crazy project, and the movie was a complete turkey. But he wrote this book about how he did it. It was a funny book, but I got to the end of it and I said to my wife, we've got to do this. And she said, what do you mean? He almost destroyed his marriage. I said, come on. And the clincher for me was that she had been a frustrated author. She'd had a couple of manuscripts get to the last phase and not quite get over the line. And I said, and you may never get published. And I would add, she has been published since, both by herself and with me. But I said, you may never get published, but imagine seeing your film on the big screen with you playing the starring role. So we made this movie. It took us about 9 months. We cast our friends. We spent more money than we intended to. On my wife's on her 40th birthday, we hired a cinema, and we actually showed it to our 300 or so best friends and people who'd been involved in it. And it was pretty terrible. But at the end of it, an Australian film producer who'd been there came up to me and she said, it was pretty terrible in lots of ways, but she said, everybody sat there and watched. Congratulations, she said, because most first attempts are unwatchable. She said, you did one thing right. She said, you obviously hired a professional screenwriter. That was me, and at that point I got the bug, and I sold my business. I went back to school and studied screenwriting. When that didn't work out in the sense that I couldn't get my movie up, I became a novelist. So in a very literal sense, reading that book changed my life. Yeah,
literally. I mean, that's an incredible story. It actually gave me goosebumps, actually, just listening to it,
Let me tell you, it gave my wife goosebumps when I said, I'm quitting my job.
Amazing story. Graeme, thank you so much for sharing that with me.
No problem. Thanks, Karen.
That's everything from me, and I look forward to seeing you again next week on Karen's Bookshelf.